This summer, 4 guys who enjoy looking at horses and punting on horses band together to give you mail on horses. Live from their kitchens around Australia, Drew Patchell, Pete Anthonus.
Never tape over one of your sex tapes. No matter how tired of it you think you may be, 20 years from now, you're going to want to revisit it.
Rob Scurry.
Your best player thinks he's a pirate.
And Jack Dickens.
Stop. My penis can only get so erect.
This is The Mailbag.
But haven't they done well?
Welcome to the Mailbag. My name is Drew. I'm joined by the 3 amigos, Pete, Rob, and Dicko. Boys, how's it going? I'm going to start with Dicko. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm alright, mate. Tired, confused, but surviving.
So the usual.
Profitable weekend from the yard. I'm not going to say the word, but it's getting close to a bit of a... It's very difficult. I'm not getting a lot of luck with the movers. I think I'm back on the right horses. I feel like I probably never bet better, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing
I'm
with
not
variance, isn't it?
I just got done by a Richard Lambing horse today, which was soft as in the market. This is a bloke that travels horses to the Sapphire Coast for some reason, and they all run well above expectation, but they're all back to do so. So at sale, when he's got a soft horse in the market, you think you're sweet, you know what I mean? We beat every other horse by 5 or 8 lengths, and I got done again. Like, just turned the Super Bowl back on and just tried to enjoy that. But it's hard because I didn't understand anything.
Mickey Walker rode it great, the winner. He rode the first winner. He was just on a roll.
Which is pretty stiff to find. You could get beaten by a good ride.
Sale.
Yeah. He's suited to that ride though. The in behind suck ride. Just
crazy
the
brave.
Speed. Yeah.
Moving on to Mr. Rob Scurry. How's it going up in Sydney?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, lovely summer weather. Good day at Rose Hill. Found a few winners. Didn't bet very well. Tail of my punting life, but certainly had vindication with Elise. I think you can say is the second best horse behind Winks in Australia. Talk about Red Seal, he might be over the hill, but Elise is the number one. Exciting racehorse. What she did over 1,200 was nothing short of sensational.
I think you'd be the biggest fan she's had. And I've listened to a lot of people on Twitter and watched a lot of racing stuff. You'd be her number one ticket holder for the longest time.
Yep.
I think that if Godolphin was serious about, caring about the game, they'd look after people like you and Drew, because Drew's been Team Blue his whole entire adult life, and you're a massive Elise fan. It'd be good if they sort of indulged the punters. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I've told you the story about Elise. I had her going in a double in the I might not have told you the story in the Queen of the Turf, and I knew she was a nervous parader, and she's just been melting down like previous starts. But just she won a couple early. But anyway, I sent a message to Dominic Byrne saying, Elise, get her in late to the yard. Because she doesn't parade well. She's just not a good parader. I think she'll do it really good. Anyway, Dom got back to me and said, "No, we can't do that. But thanks for the advice. Really appreciate it." Which I thought was great. Just I was total random to him on Twitter. Anyway, she came into the yard late that day with the cart. Went straight out onto the course. Didn't even do 2 laps.
Yeah, we can't do that. They said, "Hang on, mate. Do you not understand you're allowed to do anything you actually want in racing, especially if you're from Godolphin?" The bigger your stable, the less the rules apply, except if your name's Darren.
What are you cracking there, mate?
Just held myself to a little mountain goat summer ale.
Oh, back on the summer ales. I love it.
Yeah, a little bit of a softer, smoother number for a little late night chat to the boys.
Yeah, makes sense. And Petey, over in the West, how we doing, mate? You're just finishing up dinner over there, I imagine.
Oh, just scoffing down some enjoyable salmon fillets and also a few fish as well.
What's the name?
Ugh. Ugh. Look, a gentleman never divulges such delicate matters.
You do, just on podcasts.
Yeah, just not in podcast form. Please.
You have a good weekend over there with the Pikey pilgrimage, mate?
Yeah, look, it was interesting. I was more than happy to death ride Pike, as I usually am, especially when he's on a favourite. But this was all new levels of death riding, just not wanting to hear 40 grown men cheering for a 4'2" guy with short hair and, wearing pyjamas. But
what, was Walshy over there?
They said grown men.
Okay.
Look,
halflings.
It was funny. I hope they did some good promotions for WA Racing while they were over here, because it was two pretty standard meets, but hopefully they got a bit out of it, and I wouldn't mind seeing something like that happen again. I mean, it sounds like they went and had a lunch with him, and Pikey gave a lot of his time, which was great, and he seemed to really enjoy it. I had a quick chat to him at Bunbury yesterday, and he really enjoyed the camaraderie with the group, and I don't know, it could be the start of something. But look, it was. Would they
have won or lost money, Pete, if they backed every one of his rides?
Oh, they would have lost clearly. So Pikey rode the first two winners at Ascot on Saturday. Probably $3 shot and a $1.80 shot. Didn't ride another winner on the card, and then he's rode the first winner at Bunbury and the last winner. So 4 out of 16 races, they surely couldn't have finished in front.
Good. Oh, no, not good, but it's a good lesson to learn. It's a good lesson to learn there. You can love a jockey or love a horse. Doesn't always mean it's a good bet.
But you know what, Dicko? If they got the Mounting Yard Mail, they would have won. We had a good day at Ascot.
What about Scurry, the little viper? Just handing over the betting reins, and straight away we struck a big blow.
It's like the week before at the wedding, mate. I had to dump you on Caulfield that day because I missed the winner on Friday night.
I think we should elaborate what we mean. I'm not saying that Rob's betting. I'm saying that Rob doesn't. Rob handed over his financial deposits on Ascot races to Peter to be responsible for, so that Rob could continue to have a happy marriage and not spend the entirety of Saturday night betting like he has spent the entirety of the Saturday. So that seems to be a bit of a lucky charm for the boys, because when Rob stops and hands over to Pete to put the money on, we seem to get the results.
Happy wife, happy life, boys. Am I right?
Oh, something like that.
No wife, happy life for me. But, we'll see how it goes.
I'm tipping that big time at the moment, Drew.
Yeah. Good bet. So let's just get into a few things. I want to start with the viewer question, because it's an interesting horse that I think all three of you can probably comment on. Brian's asking, thoughts on Kementari first up at 1,400 metres. I'm pretty sure this is in the Yor on the weekend. I thought they figured out the horse was a sprinter. Dicko, I want to start with you. Kementari, is it a cat? Is it a leg shaver?
No. Kementari is a horse that's been slaughtered. Like, Kementari is a horse that could have won that Group 1 at Moonee Valley if a more positive jockey rode it that night. It probably, I think it had the best 8, 6 and 4 of the night that day. Did it?
Yeah, it was pretty close to. It
was huge, but it was snicked and just slaughtered by Schofield. Kementari is a horse that has so much talent that it gets put into really good races all the time, and they often go to Moonee Valley or then down the Flemington Straight or around Caulfield. They're all unique tracks with, it brings a lot of horses undone, just the turning of it, but it also brings Glenn Schofield undone. That bloke comes down and rides Moonee Valley once a year, 4 times a year. It's not easy to do. If I own Kementari, I'd have the same jockey riding him all the time, and there'd be a line of 5 to get on him. Don't you think, Rob?
Yeah. Look, I think it's obviously a high-class horse, and it hasn't been, I think 1,100 is probably its go. But, in saying that, I don't want to bring up the Caulfield Guineas, which just got beaten by their... Sorry, mate. I
was implying the Caulfield Guineas, but I didn't want to talk about it. That's Glenn Schofield's worst fucking riding that horse. And his most expensive... Actually, no. The Moonee Valley one was probably as expensive for us.
No. Caulfield Guineas is a making race. That's
No, for us, I don't care about the Sheik. He's got enough problems.
So, yeah, okay. But yeah, I expect it to go very well at Caulfield first up, and probably one of the favourites. I think the only horse that could beat her over 1400. I'm going to bring up the other Godolphin Queen, Elise. I think they're both high class. Elise's better, but I think he'll win on the weekend with even luck against anything.
Petey, any comment?
Look, I've only seen Kementari the one time. That was at Moonee Valley in the Manikato, and by God, it was the greatest snick of all time.
We saw it. We saw Pete. Didn't we see it when John Snow ran third to Grunt at Flemington in the Macquarie Diva? We saw him.
No, I'm pretty sure this was the only time I've seen him is Manikato. I could stand to be corrected. I mean, all those blue colour horses look the same after a while, especially when they're by Lonhro. But look, that race on Saturday coming up, the CF4 is going to be pretty red hot. So 1400 first up. If he's as good as what they think he is, he'll be running first three.
I like it. Well, thanks for that, boys. And now let's move on to the topic of the moment, Darren Weir. At the moment, I still have not seen any information. They're still locked up in a room trying to decide what they do in the show cause. Dicko, what's changed over the weekend for you? What are your thoughts on this still? So you've had your bit of your rant against
Just
Walshy.
tell Pete what the time is now so that I don't get in trouble.
Yeah, it's 9:39.
Okay. I think it's like so. I don't know what I think, to be honest. Actually, it's incredibly difficult to bet with confidence at any race with a horse he's touched in. I'm very, very glad that they addressed it, because for many of us, like we've talked repeatedly, that there was obviously something. It looked like there might be something going on, because either, like I always say to you, like either that guy completely can't train and Darren Weir's a god, or he's got a little bit of an extra edge. And I'm really happy to have won so far the two nights I've bet for the Manning Mail for the subscribers, but we've only just got the wins and the turnovers down. It's really difficult. Like this next week, like that 400 metre race, there'll be 2 or 3 really smart wheel horses in the race, no doubt.
Nice watch.
Yeah, and so then if I just pen them, like just scratching his horses last week this is probably the best thing to say. What they did last week was incredibly, I thought, just poorly conceived. To scratch all these horses at 5:30 just shows they don't understand wagering, because we've all spent 2 days mapping the races and building markets and et cetera, et cetera. That all changes. We've bet into markets, now we're copying sickening deductions. Some of the deductions I copped over the weekend were a disgrace. But next weekend will be like that times 10, when his horses are now running for new stables, with new stables doing the race tactics, with new jockeys maybe. It's just going to be completely confusing, and I'll be fascinated by turnover numbers, and I will be trying my best to not bet too heavily, if at all, into any races where I think his horses could win. I'm thinking at the moment I'm just going to have a philosophy of like, what would I regret more? So I would regret to like launch a Kementari, because I love that horse every time it parades, and then whatever one of his extra brute if it's in the race, I haven't looked that far ahead. If it won, I'd spew.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add into this. So Nature Strip's going to go around favourite on the weekend, and that's one where you just go, it may just be good enough, but it's a tainted race right now. You're not sure what to make of it. So it's incredibly hard to bet. I'm kind of feeling at the moment a bit of, I guess, relief for some trainers. Like Edward O'Rourke is a prime example, who had Ring a Ding Ding, right? And he couldn't get it to place in a Group 3 race. And then suddenly it comes out and just wins a Group 2 for Weir. Like he turns it around and just gets it absolutely flying and doing incredible stuff. Now, all this information is still alleged, but he's just able to improve them so much. It's making the trainers that these horses have come off lose business, is my thought on it. That's why a trainer can get up to 700 horses. And it wasn't good for the industry.
Business. I think stables shouldn't be allowed to be that big, although that's like against like just the free market and all that stuff. Like Walshy would like start yelling at me right now if I said that, if he was here. But how else can they maintain integrity?
I think what you're saying, though, is kind of like with an AFL club. You have a maximum of 50 players that can be on a list, and then at any one time, you've still got, like 25, 26 who are in the team. So you got your reserves still there, but it's a good number. You got to find a number that is, not too big for the industry. Yeah, not too big for the industry.
Because it'll end up being like Hong Kong, like Australian racing's about like everyone can have a go and the countryside of it, and if it can't be sorted out and it consistently has problems, it'll end up being like you can only train horses at Moonee Valley and Rose Hill, or like in Melbourne, Moonee Valley and Caulfield sort of thing, so they can be governed.
Yeah, and it'll be end of everything when that happens.
Yeah. So, look, I think the only solution, I don't want any of his horses scratched. I understand the that's not fair, but also very well aware, which no one sort of says, which I'm happy to say, that is if a lot of people who owned horses and raced horses with him were slightly suspicious, I'll give it all away. Like, it wouldn't have been a complete utter shock. But I think that the industry, they need to get him to sort of talk and give a bit more detail about what sort of stuff was done to these horses so that we can therefore try and bet into the races that they're in.
Yeah, there's no chance it happens, so. There's no chance because legally he can't implicate himself in that regard. So, like,
turnover will drop off for a while, I'd say.
Rob, what's your thoughts on the whole matter?
Oh, mate, it's another integrity issue for racing to deal with. It's another, shit story that I got to, face up to my non-punting friends about. And here racing's from the New Zealand's of bad news. I'm like, oh yeah, well, Darren, we're kind of glad it happened. Ring a ding ding, a perfect example. Just too good. Obviously had an edge. We move on.
Look, probably for me, you guys would know, I don't have that much interest in Victorian racing in general. For me, it's just about the winning and punting is all I care about. The actual carnival itself means nothing to me. It could be a standard Saturday, it could be feature race day. It doesn't matter as long as we're punting and finding an edge, which we've been doing for a while now. From a WA point of view, though, a lot of our horses that were doing well.
Sorry.
They were coming over and they were being trained primarily by Weir. And so now we've got a situation where you've got horses like Whispering Brook's going to come back to Simon Miller after she's finished her campaign. I believe that's the idea. Tradesman is now back in WA. There's a few other horses there. Material Man's going over. I think he was meant to be stationed at one of Weir's stables for this week, so that's throwing their plans up in the air a little bit. And then
you actually had a question about Material Man, mate. Just came through. What do you think about his chances on Saturday?
I think he's a live chance, and he'll be underneath the radar purely because he's from WA. But his last run, he ran second to Arcadia Queen in the Group 1 over here, and Arcadia Queen is arguably the best 3-year-old in the country based on what she's done. She's basically just obliterated Group 1 fields over here. So, look, I think Material Man, he'll want probably an inside gate so he can settle in the first 4 or 5. I believe Lucy Warwick's flying over to ride him. That's probably the concern, but he's a brave horse. He's a real brave horse. And if they run to suit tempo-wise and he settles in the first 4 or 5, he'll be right there in the first 4 or 5 at the end. But it's all going to be tempo for him.
The one thing the weird thing's definitely done for me is, that sort of attitude of it's too good to be true. It sort of cements that for me. Like, there's no trainer, jockey who's that much better than everyone else.
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, it'll start to happen in Perth with those silks that always win. Chris Waller in Sydney. It'll get more and more oxygen that you can't be that much better. How's that happening? And it's scary.
At the same time, though, Dicko, like one of my mates who is he's a racing fan. He's not a huge punter. He basically sent me a message saying, how good is Darren Weir's facilities? Can you imagine if our trainer in WA had those sort of facilities at his disposal? And just hearing the numbers of people that he employed to keep that machine running at all times. Like, he obviously had a bloody good system up and running, regardless of whether he had an ulterior unfair advantage. He's obviously planned out his strategy to such a good extent, and he's utilising every single weapon at his disposal, training-wise, physical-wise. You're a former footy player, you'd know it. Like, you've got to have all these different abilities to get your body up and running for the next big week, when you're in final series. So
no, he's definitely a high quality horseman, but if what's alleged is true, his edge, the reason he's been successful is because he's done things that not many others are doing.
It's questionable how many others are doing it as well, which is the interesting part where the trainers are saying that it doesn't happen widespread at the moment. But, geez, you just don't know.
That's what does my nut injuries. Like the questions, so what? Jared McLean and Darren Lee were the only two at the stable that knew anything about this.
Well, the interesting thing is, from what I'm hearing, Jared McLean's going to get off from this because he had his the instrument, the jigger that was found was at his property, which he has cattle on. So by all means, being a farmer, you're more than allowed to have a jigger on it because it is a instrument that is used on cattle. So that's, without hearing anything tonight, that's what I'm hearing is he's most likely not going to be charged in the show cause.
What a world we live in, eh? It's okay to jigger. You can jig a cow, just don't dare jig a horse.
Well, that's my question that I just want to ask you guys. How much has perception changed? Like, if this was 10 years ago in racing, it would be a minor thing, wouldn't it? Like this is just, I think, the world we're now living in, that we've now become more considerate of animals.
Yeah, but I think this is like part of the argument I was having with Walshy, and we were arguing, so the point sort of probably got lost. I don't care about people who don't punt being outraged by horse racing because they're still just not going to punt. All they want is to death ride the sport.
Yeah,
I think that long-term people who do punt surely have a little bit more confidence, and I hope that the stewards discovered this by themselves, unlike the Smurden thing, so you got more confidence in the way they're doing it. It's a good thing for people who are planning on wagering on horse racing over long term, like the four of us. At the same time, the conspiracist in me thinks, well, how come they don't catch anyone in other places? But that's just me.
Rob?
Oh, look, there's always been, over the years, a dominant trainer who's had an edge. Turns out to be, probably rorting. They say Percy Sykes, the guy who's got the best bet wins, or the best synthetics, and it's great that this Darren Weir's going. Because I think he was cheating. If the horses is improved, it doesn't. It's like doesn't make sense to me that he's that much better than everyone else, and it's good that he's not too big to fail.
All right, let's move on from it.
Fair enough. Pete, nothing to say on that one quickly?
Yeah, I don't really care. You guys know what I think about Eastern Staters overall. We can all go get stuffed.
Perfect. Well, let's just get straight into it. So let's just touch on Vic to start with, then Sydney, then Perth. So, Dicko, I want you to lead me in terms of the races you want to touch on overall, and I'll mention the data.
Touch on the two-year-old races. I think I assume people want to know the story there. Race 1 was fast, and the last 3 races will run pretty quickly. So I'd say race 7, 8, and 9 are good races with good horses that'll be relevant moving forward, and obviously the 2-year-olds. So we'll just skip the rest, eh?
Okay, so let's start with the 2-year-old race 5 then. So the Chairman's Stakes, which was a Group 3 for 2-year-olds. Loving Gabby, slow away out the back. In terms of data overall, the benchmark, they've gone 5.4 lengths faster to the 600. So there's been a very strong tempo on, and Loving Gabby's just been able to storm home 6.6 lengths faster than the benchmark.
I thought Swan Island okay. Of the ones that's not obvious.
Yeah.
Loving Gabby won as well as obviously in a horse win this season as a 2-year-old. Like, it was huge. It just was like, it was on the airport. It's like on the airport, like, travelator thing,
Yep.
When you're walking to your gate and the rest of you are walking on the tiles, and this fucking thing was on the escalator. It was airborne.
I was watching the TJ last night with Chautauqua, and this thing did the same thing. Probably an easier run than Chautauqua, but that's exactly what it reminded me of. And I had to go relook at the race.
Yeah, and this thing was, I didn't love its parade. I think it'll improve stacks. That was its first ever race start, so it's really exciting, I reckon.
The rest of them, though, like apart from obviously you mentioned Swan Island, maybe a bit of a follow forward. They probably all had their chance.
Yeah, I think so.
Makes
I don't
sense.
think anything in that race can beat Loving Gabby if it's sweet.
Perfect. Well, we'll move on to race 7, the 1,000 meters listed race won by Bonds Away. Ridden by went around $1.75 favourite. They have gone around six. Sorry, let me just have a look. Three and a half lengths faster than the benchmark, and absolutely stormed home. Bonds Away 10 lengths faster to get the win.
Was Ridden by in the numbers?
I believe that it was not in the numbers. Let me just pull that up, though.
I
Are you looking?
Fourth. You had a fourth from memory.
I don't know. I reckon I had it. I reckon I didn't have it, and I just gave a comment on it because it's the $1.70 favourite.
I'm pretty sure you did that because I took it on.
But I've been deep diving into the reviews today, so I haven't. I don't remember what I did, but Linda Meach is.
It was not in your numbers. It was just a comment.
Yeah, Linda Meach star, written by, could improve. It doesn't parade well. I think it's big edge when it was younger horse. It was a well-developed horse versus like horses that needed to develop. Now it's up against proper horses. It's sort of been exposed. It was belted down the straight. It's lost here at $1.70. Yeah, I was surprised how firm it was. Yeah, Drew and I took it on. I backed Belwazi. I hated the ride of Jamie Carr. I thought she lacked intent in the first 600 and let Ashlaw get in front of her, who then slowed it down. I reckon Encryption is worth following. Out of all these horses, I think Encryption will go the best over the next month or so.
Hey, dude, I found him first up last prep. Encryption said he was the best of the Sydney 3-year-olds, like sprinting types.
And then is that the horse that won down the straight when you were there, Peter?
It is.
Yeah, so I hopefully it's aimed at a good race down the straight then, because it's got straight track form at Flemington. I think Encryption's a horse to follow from the good sprint race on Saturday.
I would be not surprised if we see it in a Lightning Stakes. That's where I would expect it to go.
That's just a bit too hard, isn't it? Jesus.
No, not at all. It's going to be a really average. Like the weight that it's going to get will just be great. Like it's going to be extremely well weighted. I'd recommend.
Yeah,
all right.
It's no brazen bow though.
True.
Race tin hat paraded as good as I've ever seen it parade. I still don't love the horse, but it has run big time here, hasn't it? So
10 lengths faster for 600. That is like group. You rarely get that in a Group 1 going that fast.
How do you know it's gone 10 lengths faster, Drew?
Because of puntingform.com.au data, Dicko. And it's
very
still
useful, that stuff, isn't it?
Well, the most amazing part is because you're looking for something to run on right past it because you've seen the sectionals it's been running, and then it's still managed to go 4 lengths faster than the benchmark. Like, it's just been an amazing run. Its previous best was significantly below that.
All right, Poised to Strike can improve from a parade point of view, but was suited, I thought, by the way the race was run. How Vorston could improve slightly, I think, if Andrew Mallion got off. And Scottish Road could improve if Tony McAvoy employed someone to do race tactics for him. Ooh. But he won't, so it won't.
Well, I have to mention that race. The bookies in the ring, one was betting $8, the other was betting $18 for Scottish Rogue. Like, there's some pretty poor betting going on.
I had it on top. I had it on top from the yard. He might be a subscriber, Drew.
Oh, okay. That makes a bit of sense. Well, I had to have a little bit of a go because I was getting similar on Betfair, so bet with cash sometimes.
Oh, sometimes. I'm happy to say this because Drew launched big units on Saturday, like heavy units, big betting, and I don't know where he spent it, but he didn't have much left on Sunday morning, but he won a shitload of money. Well done.
Meow. Meow.
All right, race 9. This is another torture for me because I black booked this horse, Heptagon from Flemington. Didn't decide not to go with it. I was fearful of a few first uppers and missed the money bags if ridden well, probably won, but it was pretty plain, missed the money bags. I think it might need a bit of a break just to freshen. Our Picky Blinders was good, and I thought Heptagon can win again.
Did it early, did it late on the sectional data, 5 lengths look, they went around 5 lengths faster the first 600. Heptagon's had to sit only do 2.4, and it's come home 8 faster final 600. Like, really good times. Most important thing is that horse absolutely, when it was critical thinking they got scratched, as soon as that happened, Heptagon absolutely hemorrhaged. It was $6 into about $4.20 on track.
It was severe hemorrhage, wasn't it?
Oh, I've quickly seen it on Betfair going in, and I've run up to a bookie and chucked a nice sizable bet on and got 550. Even deductions took it down to about 510, I think.
I think like horses like Rudiger, Top Me Up, like complete leg shavers. They're completely max gone. They're gone. They won't be winning. Vacillator, I don't know what we're doing with Vacillator. What are you going to do with Miss Rock? Oh, that's a horse that's just like a complete nonny.
Look, I said to, I think it was Josh on course, if Miss Rock wins, so be it. I'm just going to take it on. Like, it's the type of horse that I now just have to put in a book and say, if this wins, so be it. It was my stupid for betting in a race where Miss Rock's actually been able to win a race, you know?
Yep. All right, well, that does us, I reckon, for Caulfield.
Yeah, perfect. Let's move straight on to Sydney. So, Rob, interesting day at Rose Hill?
Yeah, mate. Look, the track and they watered the track. And we had a heat wave, and it shouldn't have been as wet as it was. I'm not sure what puntingform.com.au has a track rated, but I'd say genuinely like on the soft, dead to slow. But
soft 7.
Yeah, in my head, I had it. Yeah, maybe a touch better than that. And the day was whether Elise handled that. And in my brain, I was just totally. And then the betting drift came on that horse, and the fact that I backed Trapeze Artist first up last time when it did nothing. I thought, anyway, the whole race just did my head in a bit. But I think we saw a pretty exciting special horse. Anyway, but we should probably start with the 2-year-olds. Maybe a point about a couple of other races. We'll leave the staying race alone, certainly. I think that the last race is maybe worth talking about, race 9, and maybe race 7. So, yeah. Yeah,
well, let's just start with race 1. So McLaren's won the race, and they haven't really gone around overly fast, just slightly below benchmark, and only come home 3.5 better. It did feel very wet at that stage. I saw your horse Spring Loaded probably fell in a hole once or twice in the straight, and that's probably cost it the win.
Look, it was a really exciting start because I couldn't have Exceed the Stars. It just looked terrible, and that's your second favourite, and I don't think that'll win. That could end up at Townsville or something. That horse. McLaren was, as my man David Brent says, professionalism is, and that is what I want in a 2-year-old. I don't want it 2 handlers jig-jogging around, slathering up at the arse. I don't want any of that. It was just, and to make matters, even worse, it wasn't even that great a type. I was expecting to see a better looking horse. Like, to me, Crown Affair is a nicer looking horse that's run 5 lengths last, which is a Schnitzel out of Gallant Tess, who I'm sure, ran in a Golden Rose and was a really good filly. So, we had 3 horses that ran second and third. The other, David Payne, Deep Chill, who's run third, is right at its top. He looked like he'd be suited by a soft track, lightly framed kind of thing, looked really fit. Spring Loaded, maybe a run or 2 away, but, looked good. But McLaren's done things wrong in the yard and on the track and has towed this lot up. So he's obviously a very good horse. But probably one, if he keeps parading like that I'll want to take on.
Yeah, especially at $1.50, I imagine.
Yeah,
on to race 2, 1,100 metres, the Widden Stakes Group 3. The Blue Jackets have got the winner here. So they've gone around 5 lengths faster than benchmark. So they've gone a pretty good clip for this 2-year-old kind of races. And the winner has only had to go around actually benchmark sitting back in the field and come home 4 lengths faster than benchmark to score the win. Only just got there from Rotator and Blazing Miss, who is your pick of the yard, who I want to say I was thinking it was home at the 200. And
yeah, I thought it was home on the corner.
Yeah, that's actually something we all need to talk about sooner or later.
What, me going an early crow?
You've got serious, like...
Wait.
I might mute you at the races one day. Like,
Mate.
You crow.
The movers bet. You turned your back on the movers bet at Seymour.
Because the German has.
You've walked
Kyne.
away. You've walked
Kyneton.
away.
What?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
What?
You
What
walked away.
Seal's done to me? Who's now known as the oven? What
Oh, that's
German?
not.
No, because he cooks horses. What? You cook? Yeah. I understand what you just thought, Rob. That's not what I'm trying to. God, talk about.
No.
Yeah, well, the oven has torched me repeatedly. He's a very hard man to catch, and I thought, here he's fucked me again as this slow horse that kicked and pinched a big lead, Drew, right? I was weathered. I'm under pressure to land blows. Sorry, Rob.
No, that's good. Look, immersement, if you're getting back to me and what I did, or we talk anyway, immersement I had in the numbers. And yeah, immersement I had in the numbers, had a third pick, typical Godolphin, not like good, decent type. Just looked a bit soft as they often do on the first run, so obviously it can improve. Rotate, pretty good waller. But yeah, look, I don't think it's an overly strong race. I think Blazing Mist might have missed a chance. I think, did you notice that she sort of went, if she just stayed, she already had the run, then she ran out into the middle of the track and then she ran back in. It was pretty hard to watch Tommy Berry. And it turned out on the day that, 2 or 3 off the fence is where you wanted to be. It was it's a bit up the inside. I thought on the day. But yeah, look, I don't think it's an overly strong 2-year-old race, and I'm looking for something else.
On the 2-year-olds you've seen, where are they?
Well, Catch Me, I found it. I had it in the numbers when it ran in Sydney in the Gym Crack or the Breeders, whatever it is.
That's the one that pissed in at Caulfield. Now, how'd that rate that day?
It's a bit soft, but it's masculine type of 2-year-old filly. Like Sunlight the year before. She struck me as
at Caulfield.
As top.
She threw Kieran McElroy off 3 times in the yard.
She was pretty professional in Sydney. But obviously she's pretty.
So if we had talked about it, I would have probably later. I just left her alone because she's a 2-year-old,
And she's from Sydney and probably got better horses than Melbourne horses.
Her win at Caulfield was enormous.
Yeah, I know. I backed it, and I knew you'd find the other Snowden. He's a real smooth panther of a walker. Anahid, is it?
Yeah,
Anahid.
It's the Blue Diamond horse to be backing at 26s.
You think?
Just letting that out there. Oh, $26. It's going to be there. It's already qualified, and if they go a little bit slower in the Blue Diamond, it's the one to beat.
Especially if they get a soft track, which probably won't happen. But bit of long range map reading, Drew. Any chance of a wet track Blue Diamond? I was there a wet track Blue Diamond in the Deem year.
There's a little bit of rain around, but it doesn't look like it this far out from what I was looking at. I did already look for that. A
little edge. There's an edge in the weather.
Massive edge.
Yeah.
Let's probably move on to the race 6 to the Expressway, the 1,200 metres, the painful one for you. Elise Dicko at the corner is saying, she's already home. Elise's home, and she was.
Well, she's a big, powerful mare, and she's got the sweetest action that I've seen. That's what made me love her a year ago. I just thought she's just a really sweet mover. And look, I ended up backing her. It was a bit like first up, I didn't tip units on her. One, because I'm too emotionally involved with the horses after last campaign, and yeah, just I backed her. She got out to like 350, 360, and Trapeze Artist was, backed into favourite. I think I put up a poll who would win. Who'd you be on? Most people said Elise, but in the end, you were getting a better odds about Elise than Trapeze Artist. I put a poll on Twitter. Who would you like to be on if it's a 50-50 bet, Elise or Trapeze Artist over 1,200? Most people said Elise. But yeah, look, wherever she goes, she'll be winning. I'd love to see her at Flemington. She's pretty much unbeaten. I'd love to see her take her Winks. I know she'd get beaten by two lengths, but I think the mare knows she's in the race.
I reckon Godolphin could actually do that. They like to do that with these horses, and they may try and take her on if they can.
For the pleasure of the sheik.
Yeah, exactly. Quickly on the data, which I think kind of explains what happened in the race. They've only gone around benchmark for 600. So Trapeze Artist is at its very best when there's a fast tempo, and it was not suited, but it was below best. I mean, it couldn't even get past Dothraki. So that says a lot about the horse. Elise's gone nearly 12 lengths faster than benchmark final 600. Just stormed home and was not even touched. 22-12 final 400, hardly even touched. Like, just a brilliant win.
12, and that's 11th. That's on a soft track, man. That's
Exactly.
Look, she's a race-to-race proposition now. She's already a bleeder, so I think every time she's going to go out, she's going to be in tip-top nick. They're not going to take any risks with her. But yeah, right now she's borderline unbeatable. You know, she doesn't have to sit so far back in a race too. I'd like to see her, up to 1,600 meters. She's amazing. Lara Main came back well. Could have played a bit better. These are all quality. I think I said about Hartnell, just a noble steed. Just come back in fantastic order. Can he keep? How old is he now? 8 or 9 or something? But
He'll keep going.
Well, again, why not? He's still loving his racing. But yeah, I think that's all we got to say about that. Dothraki, I often find him. He's got plenty of improvement to come. He's a good on a sprinter. People seem to give him shit for some reason. He's a bit of a nonny, but I think he's.
Well, he's beaten home Trapeze Artist.
Yeah, I know.
Who'll peak third up, won't it? Always does.
Yeah, well, it reminds, I think it's similar to Petey loves his horse too. Ball of Muscle, about that good.
Yep.
Can just about a Group 1 horse, but not quite. Gets found out in Group 1s.
Cool. And so, last two races, you want to look at race 8 and race 9? Were they the other two?
Race 7, I think people will be more interested in. Seaway.
Yeah, Seaway.
We had a win on this race.
Fourth fastest last 600 of the meeting.
Okay. Look, really forward for a Waller horse, too forward.
Do you reckon, Rob, that the Ocean Parks, Peter, chime in too, do you reckon the Ocean Parks often parade it like pretty light? Not light, but they're not like gross horses.
Yeah,
that makes sense?
This is a light one. Definitely. If you haven't even seen it, this is it looks like
Peter?
a tracker.
Well, he's It was a mile of 2,000 metre horse from New Zealand, so I guess that probably makes sense.
Back to you, Rob. So yeah, look, I'm not sure how far we can go into a prep. We had Smart Edge in the numbers. It's run really well. But yeah, I'm not sure where it can go. I think the other one people want to hear about is Girl Tuesday. In the text, I had her like 4th in the numbers. And I said something like, dripping sweat, but seems relaxed enough. It's kind of a weird parade when you see a horse just. He did have 2 handlers on, but I wasn't noticing too much in its walking pattern that I don't like to see. But it was drip, drip, drip. So at $2.20, you can feel pretty good about getting on Seaway at $6-7 it got out to. So
the times versus the day are poor too for Seaway. No, for Girl Tuesday. Sorry, Seaway was impressive.
Okay. Look, I know her mum Tuesday's Joy could go all right in the wet, and she was a big heavy thing. This thing, Girl Tuesday, is a big heavy thing, but maybe she's true to the rule, but she might be better on a firm surface. Sweet Deal has been one of mine. Just probably over the top, needs a break. I think we had a place bet on High Mist, who's a really nice style of High Chaparral, but Nonny. I think I even said that in the text, even though I put him on top. I said it was a place bet, but he got too far back. And then we'll move on to, I think, race 9. There's a few kind of 3-year-olds come back here. Maximus looked really good. He was in the numbers. He's the only one. I think I had him 2nd or 3rd, but he was the only one that actually ran well in my numbers. I found
TB stop you?
Just maybe heavy horse. I think Jorda. I found it.
Oh God, yeah. I had way too much in this horse when I saw you had a unit on it or whatever.
Yeah, look, just looked fit as a fiddle. Couldn't get any better, so I think that's had enough. Performer, come back okay, but I'm thinking these like written by these 3-year-olds are pretty damn not that good. So performer, the other one, Al Merton, has gone back to Jean Dubois from Hayes. Barely looked a horse. I think they paid like $4 million for him, or $14 million or something as a side after he won a 2-year-old race, and he's just barely a Saturday horse, mate, to look at. We had a decent go on Perrette, got too far out of its grounds, come home well on the wrong part of the track. But yeah, it was a bit disappointing to end up with a small loss on the day. Because I found a few winners, and the 2-year-olds both ran really well, so I felt like I was seeing them pretty good. But yeah, that's probably about it, mate.
Perfect, Rob. Thanks you very much. We'll move on to Petey over in the West. How you doing, Petey?
Yeah, good, Drew. Good. I think probably the races to focus on for Perth would be races 6, 7 and 8 clearly had the best punting form data, so I think we'll have a look at those. But I will touch on race 2 just briefly. If any of the punters out there want to have a good look at how anchor dropping can affect a race, well, this is a prime example because there was almost a fall in it. So race 2, 2-year-old race, Gunadoo is leading the field, and then from the 800 to the 600, the sectional was 11.32 seconds. The leaders then dropped 1.64 seconds, so they've gone 11.32, 8 to 6, and then from the 600 to the 400, they've gone back to 12.96 seconds on punting form's time, so they've dropped 1.64 seconds. It almost caused a fall, funnily enough. Well, probably not funnily enough, but Craig Staples, the leader, anchor dropped into his wife, Lisa Staples, who was right behind him. So
what are you saying? It could have been a little bit like might have been deliberate.
Well, I'm not sure we'll go that far.
That was a joke. Anyone from Ra is listening. It was a joke.
Might have been on the couch though that evening, Dicko. So, look, it's just I think in that race, though, in all seriousness, Wicklow Princess was the horse that Lisa Staples was on, and it was a nice jump and run type in its trials that didn't get to the front in this race and was clearly the most disadvantaged. So that's the only horse I could have out of that race. They went really slow. Drew probably got the punting form data in front of you, but the overall benchmark figures here are really poor for that race, even for a 2-year-old race. So not
they've gone 6 lengths slow to the first 600, and then even really slow the last 600, 5 lengths slower. So they're just really poor.
Yeah, and there's no surprise when they've gone slowly. They've then anchor dropped going slowly, and it's just disrupted the entire field. And being babies, obviously, a lot of them just would have gone, "What the fuck is this?" and just gone all over the shop and not really put in after that. So outside of that, we'll jump through to race 6, and it was a good collect for Mounting Yard mail followers, and even better collect for those who took anything of the trifecta or first 4. I think sent out 6 numbers and they ran first 5, so $17,000 first 4.
Race 6 is the biggest. Oh no, it's not. Sorry.
No, that's coming up next in race 7. But race 6, Avidus, just a trainer on the rise in WA, Steel Casey. He's probably 21, 22 years old. He's got his horses working through a lot of heavy sand. He did his apprenticeship and a lot of track work riding for the big stables over here. And he's out on his own. He's got a few horses, tried horses, a bit like our boy Mitch Friedman, and is just doing the best with them. Obviously, the horses often start a little bit overs as well, which is always nice. But this horse is backing up PB after PB, so it's a handy horse going forwards. Don't know if you guys actually saw any of the last 4 races, but
no, I saw Snowlord win, and I was so happy when it won. Then I had to tap out after that.
Oh, yeah, so Mr. First Among Equals get nailed by the 100 and something to 1 shot.
Oh, that's right, because Snowlord was in the car with you, Drew, and I said, how much going on? He said, leave it. So he dogged you, Pete.
Yep. Snowlord got the job done.
All right, so race 7, Mr. Motown was 8.7 lengths faster than benchmark. That's the biggest figure of the day. Is that the best race of the day?
Yeah, it has to be the best race of the day. Lindsay Smith trained the Quinella, Mr. Motown, in First Among Equals. Before the race, he commented on that Mr. Motown this would either be its last race or, might be able to have one more start afterwards. And then it came out and won at triple figures. So It's always good when trainers have that sort of confidence in their own horse. And First Among Equals probably maintains its cat status. I think it's fair to say it really.
It's a complete nonny. It hates lines. It's like the opposite of.
I've just hit that button there that just alerts me to go back and edit that. So I'll just.
All right, that's not that bad, is it?
Yeah, can't say it's alleged. She hasn't. It wasn't. They didn't say who was caught with it.
Well, we're just going off. All right, fine.
Petey, so should we touch on Misty Medal as well? So what happened with Misty Medal, Pete?
So Misty Medal, there was no word from the camp during the week that she was over the top, but clearly that's exactly what the punting form data is suggesting. Although she settled outside the leader like she did last start, they've gone relatively the same speed early. Belters set the same section of data early, and she just hasn't coped with it this start. But she is a mare that has had 7 runs this prep. She ran her PB last start, and Shooter McGruddy made a really good point, the jockey, and just said she always feels like a horse that doesn't leave anything on the track. So
what's his name?
Sean McGruddy, but nicknamed Shooter.
Oh.
Pistol and him get on really well for the obvious reasons.
I don't get that.
Because of Pistol and Shooter.
Oh.
Edit that out.
Yeah.
Don't edit it out. Leave it in because. Oh, good, Rob.
And on to race 8, the last one, which was Let's Twist. This you put up on the podcast as your best of the day, Petey, and it's jumped at 24s, and I've taken some 6s the place on a Betfair SP, which I locked in at the start of the day.
Yeah, quite
run down.
Crystal Valley's a horse that
we sent as a mover not once, but I think twice, and it ran third both times. Since then,
isn't Crystal Valley the one that Troy Turner rode?
Yeah, and then his son Jordan Turner got on, who's spent a bit of time over in Melbourne, and Jordan's ridden it the last 2 starts, and it's won both times. But it's not just won this race. Its personal best before this race with punting form was 0.0 lengths above benchmark, so it was just bang on benchmark. And here it is running the 4th best of the day, 6.9 lengths above benchmark on the adjusted figures. It's improved its PB by 7 lengths, and it's run down Let's Twist, who I've thrown out as the best of the day, had a huge bet on. And it's gone down in the last 50 metres to lose by a long neck. So,
this is like repulsive data read. It's gone 4 lengths faster than 600, but come home 3 lengths fast. Like, it hasn't done that good time with a really good sort of early tempo and just outstayed them or something like that.
Well,
so
no,
it's savage to line too.
It's the overall figure, and I guess Let's Twist was travelling 3.4 lengths faster to the 600. So Crystal Valley was just sort of back there, second last, just smoking the pipe, running along, arguably quicker than what she has done in the past, but got a split through, relished the early speed, gone past a few others, and it's visually impressive. You're right. So they haven't necessarily gone home that fast, but she's been able to maintain that speed.
Oh, well, she's still gone home 3 lengths faster than benchmark, which is almost as good as she's ever done. But she's done it off a really good early tempo. So it's quite a sickening. It's a 17 length almost improvement on the last start, which until last week would I was going to. Very DK-ish.
Mind you, if you do nothing in the previous start, if you go really soft previously, it's either going to go one of 2 ways. It's like beating up on Gold Coast by 150 points. You're either going to come out next week feeling fresh and go on with the job, or you're going to be so used to dealing with complete dead shits that you'll come out the next week and get pantsed by any other team with half a heartbeat. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like... I'm definitely not questioning the integrity of the trainer, Mr. Webster. Like, he obviously doesn't.
The horse also drifted on the weekend from $7.50 out to about $17, so nobody was on it, and that's even more hilarious from our point of view.
God,
yeah,
that's fascinating that it drifted like that.
Yeah,
because it looks like a bit dodgy when it's improved 17 lengths and it's gone real good early and come home real hard. That's real dodgy to me. Off such shit times previously, but then for it to go $7 to $17, $7 to $17 before the jump, that sort of rules out any dodginess.
Well, that's the thing, because it was untested on a fast early speed before that day. So